Hello, Frizzle Falks. I undoubtedly 5-star loved The Warded Man. Let me set the stage for you of when I read this book. I was in quarantine with the COVID and was in bed for several days, feverish, feeling not the best. And I had this book to keep me company, and I am so glad that I did. And I'm going to tell you the 3 very specific ways that this book absolutely excels. And catch my video on booktube where I tell you the 4 reasons that it is kind of trash. I know, quite a terrible contrast. But let's focus on the positive for now, shall we? The first thing that I love about this is the world itself. There are many inventive epic fantasy worlds out there, but this one might be the only one that feels like a mix of Pokemon monsters mixed with Minecraft spawning rules. Because you have a world where there are very fearsome monsters, and at night, they spawn out of nowhere and start attacking the villagers. All the villagers have are wards that they can carve into things like their buildings to protect their buildings from being attacked by demons. And so, from these simple rules, it's very difficult to fight off the demons. The demons come every night without fail, and the only safe places are within the permanent wards that are pretty difficult to install. You have created a very interesting culture and world. Because what happens is you get these little pockets of humanity, because traveling more from sun up to sundown is like a very specialized adventurer's job. And so there are kingdoms that are just kind of loosely connected pockets of culture. That even if you go from one little pocket to the next pocket, the language might be the same, but little things are subtly different, like who is in charge? Is it allowed to be a woman? And most interesting to me, what kind of knowledge they have. There's such a degradation of even like practical knowledge of how to treat certain wounds from place to place because people rarely travel. And the traveling messengers aren't usually scholars. They're not trying to preserve or collect this knowledge. So even from place to place, there will be different types of wards that people are using, and some that are more effective and some that are less effective. And that's just so cool to me to take this concept of monster spawning and then turn it into a whole world that is based on that. One that feels epic fantasy and yet still reminds me of Minecraft. And then we have the next thing that I love about this book, which is the characters. We have 3 main narrators in this book. So for all of them, we get to start with them when they're in their childhoods, and then various time skips happen, and I think the climax is 14 or 15 years from the beginning of the book. And you would think that spending like about the first third of the book with an 11-year-old boy might get kind of annoying, because oftentimes children characters outside of media for children end up feeling either like brats or just like mini adults. But what I love, absolutely admire about this portrayal of our main character Arlen, he feels about 11. Even before we were told his age, I would have guessed it 10 to 12. Because he does make impulsive decisions, he gets overly excited about a messenger coming to town, he feels like a little kid, and yet he's mature enough and has an interesting enough moral dilemma and cares and wants and needs that I was rooting for him. That he was an awesome main character, and even if he stayed 11 for the entire book, I would have been just as on board with it. Because he is what is driving that part of the story. He is the one making decisions that is affecting the plot, is undoubtedly the main character. But yes, this 11-year-old is given the ultimate storytelling power in this narrative, and it works so well. Which is an awesome and rare thing. His goals are ones that I can get behind. He wants to go fight the demons. He's very frustrated with his father, who isn't very excited to go fight the demons. And most of all, I was also very excited for his upcoming character development. As a child, he's got a lot of things up ahead of him, and I could even see the roots of what an awesome man he would become, which we even get to see in this book. Now let me tell you actually one complaint I had about the book, which was after following Arlen for a very long time, suddenly we switch away from him. And we do not come back to his perspective for a very long time. And at first, this made me very worried that we wouldn't get back to Arlen at all, which was disappointing because I had already fallen in love with him, and how dare you take my boy away? But don't worry, you get back to Arlen eventually. And I don't know how that problem could have been fixed. Maybe if it was made more clear at the beginning of each chapter that it was an Arlen chapter, so I knew when it changed names that I could expect it to probably come back. But actually, this does counteract a problem I often have with other multiple POV stories, which is that in the beginning it switches too often for me to really get attached to one character. So this is the opposite. It didn't switch for so long, I got so attached to one character that I was upset when it switched, but at least it switched to another perspective that I also grew to love. And the by the end of the book, it is switching way more often between them, and it's like slowly braiding these plot lines together for our three point of view characters. And the fact that we got to start with all of these characters in their childhood and then growing up helped me to understand them. Because as adults, they're all processing their childhood traumas in different ways. And I felt like I had such awesome insight into them because I had been with them throughout the whole journey and I knew why each step of that journey was important to them personally. And then by the end, when our three narrators who started apart are now all braided together into one awesome climax plotline, that was just so fulfilling because I had grown to care about each of them individually. And now working together, awesome team, let's go guys! And the final thing that I love about the book is the way that it combines its world building and themes and characters and plot into one awesome finale. Because of the world and the situation that it's in, some very key information about how to fight with wards has been lost, and so now they cannot really fight back against the demons, they can only defend. And then this becomes a thematic crux and problem in the series of the lack of knowledge. And all three of our characters throughout their journeys gain important knowledge about how to fight the demons offensively in different ways. And then for various reasons, they have difficulty distributing this knowledge because people betray them, because it's hard to teach, because they don't trust the people that they would teach with this destructive knowledge. But then in the end, when they combine their forces and they do start working together and using that knowledge together, that's when you get the satisfying ending of them defeating some demons. And then you can feel like this world is on a crux of a knowledge revolution, so it fulfills the thematic premise that the book set up. It fulfills the character arcs of all the characters learning this knowledge and then learning how to share this knowledge with others a little bit better. And that is exactly what I want in a narrative. I want strong characters, strong themes, fun world building, fun plot, and this delivered on everything. Subscribe for more videos on Frizzle Fridays. Especially look out for my video on book 2, where I have many heated thoughts on. If you made it to the end of the video, comment with an ogre emoji, and thank you for watching.